News OK's Press Row with the Oklahomans Barry Tramel and Jenni Carlson is powered by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'.
I'm Barry Tramel, and I'm glad I don't have to cheer for the Sacramento Kings.
In particular, DeMarcus Cousins. He got into a fight with a teammate after he didn't get the last shot in the game against the Thunder on Saturday night. From the Opopka Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenni Carlson. Press Row is sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. Barry, this seems to be a little bit of a trend. We had the Grizzlies getting into an altercation on a plane around a Thunder game earlier this season, but didn't have direct relation to the game. This did. DeMarcus Cousins not getting the ball in the final seconds of that game against the Thunder on Saturday night. And then he gets into some sort of altercation with his teammates, gets left home for their game Sunday. This is craziness.
Well, it makes you appreciate what the Thunder is doing, which I know a whole lot of the Thunder talk is Pollyannish and it's silly schoolgirl stuff about getting along and good character and all that stuff. But then you see it manifested conversely in other teams. When you see a guy like DeMarcus Cousins not even allowed on the team flight after a flare-up, and it makes you appreciate guys like James Harden, who was drafted number 3 overall and doesn't act like a number 3 overall draft pick. Just settles in, gets along, and really just does whatever he can to help this team. Sacramento and some other NBA teams are dysfunctional. They've got some excellent players, Tyreke Evans, DeMarcus Cousins, talent-wise guys you can build around. But one of them has to have the ball in his hands the entire game. The other, not very happy when Tyreke Evans has the ball in his hands the entire game. So I'm not on board with everything the Thunder has done, but I will say this. When the Thunder says they're going to build around character and then they do it and it turns out as well as it does, you have to tip your cap to them.
Well, and you know what? I was talking with our sports editor, Mike Sherman, a little bit about this incident involving Mr. Cousins on Saturday night. And you know, it's really a more inherent problem than just the NBA. It goes deeper than that. I mean, you talk about a guy like DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know every last detail of his story, but no doubt at some point when he was in high school or maybe even junior high, he starts getting separated out from, you know, all of his other classmates, from teammates. He's going around the country. He's playing on AAU teams. He's being told how fantastic he is, and it's always his team. It's always his shot in the final seconds. It's always about him. And here he gets into the NBA, and now he's getting paid $3, $4, $5 million by a team, and they don't even take him to one of the games that they play because he has such a bad attitude when he didn't get that final shot. That attitude adjustment doesn't happen. So when you see guys playing and accepting when they don't get that final shot, Barry, it's not always the case because these guys have been cultured differently. Wanting the ball is one thing, but when you get into a fight with a teammate after you don't get it, that's something else entirely.
Well, it's not good at all. And again, it goes back, it makes you appreciate the Thunder because most top-flight NBA players, especially under the age of 30, came up under this AAU culture where you are separated and where you do play a whole bunch of basketball games whose outcome really don't matter. And when you see what the Thunder's been able to do with meshing great young players with great attitudes, it really is a testament to people like Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and Jeff Green. I mean, look at Jeff Green. This is a really good ball player who on a lot of teams would be averaging a lot more points, getting a lot more shots. Instead, he has to stand back and be subservient to Westbrook and Durant, and yet no ripples at all in the Thunder clubhouse. So, to me, not every draft pick is based on talent. Not every draft pick is based on ability. The Thunder has made some draft picks based on character, and it has worked out well.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because one of the few times that we've seen any sort of issue, and I don't even know if you want to call it an issue, but you saw Serge Ibaka basically he wasn't benched for the entire game, but only played a couple minutes in a game earlier this year. Showed some signs apparently to Scott Brooks that he wasn't really getting it, wasn't doing what exactly they wanted, but that message came through. Serge Ibaka was back in the lineup, back playing well after essentially sort of a game demotion. And so, you know, that message got through, and that's really, when you talk about guys getting into fights in locker rooms or, you know, threatening each other with guns and some of the dysfunction that we've seen manifest around the NBA in the last few years, and then you say, well, this is maybe the biggest issue that this franchise has had. I mean, it's really remarkable. Who knows? Maybe we'll have that dysfunction. Maybe we'll see it down the road, Barry. But as of right now, if that's the worst we see, I think we got to count ourselves pretty lucky. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.